Good morning. We are learning Rambam Hilchos Nizkei Mamon. Perek Halacha. We're going to focus on Halacha Gimmel, which is a interesting halacha because it is very unique that the Rambam should stress what he stresses, and hard to understand what he's saying. So he starts off the halacha and says, "Ein hanizokin shtalmen." Damages, if somebody does, will not be paid. Which is when an animal at a certain stage kills somebody, and the owners are chayiv to pay besides the damage and concept of kaifer. Like is what it is, but that's not Rafa here. Ve'ena beheman the reges, which is an animal that gets killed. However, that's only elamaraya berura, with a clear proof, which means raya berura and through edim haksherim lahay, with kosher edim. Now, obviously, why in the world do we think not to have kosher edim? What does he have to say it? This is not a halacha case specific to Hilchos Nizkei Mamon. So for that, the Rambam goes on a very long explanation and says things that, very, very logical, but doesn't make any sense in the simple understanding of what's going on here. He says like this, Shaloi, Taidman, don't say, Hoyil ve'ein mitsuyin ba'iri be'urayos, hasusim, in the stables or the areas, I guess I don't know exactly where the horses hang out. Uberefes abakar, where the cattle stay, Gidres same. Ella ha'avodim v'harayim. Who are the people there? The slaves and the shepherds. So im ha'idu shemei mazu he shezika zu shemelem. We would listen to them, accept their testimony. Okay, now there's a source to this part that there would be a thought to say that they will be okay. Doesn't say this reason anywhere. Then Rambam comes along and adds, not horses and cows and sheep. A person damaged somebody else. Same kind of lamb. We will rely on them. Ain hadovake. Nope, this not so. That's why he's saying this halacha. And to testify. Now, it seems like a totally superfluous halacha, which a child learning in Cheder should have been able to say. But the Rambam feels it's important, and he gives logic. Logic is hard to understand. Okay. Now, where does this idea come from even? I mean, I didn't just make this up out of the blue. There's a Gemara about Mekamav Yudalit on base, that's over with Olive. The Gemara says that Shum Kesev Shavik Kesev if Nebezn Alpi Edim Nechayim Nebris. That's what's in the Mishnah. That the analyze Kesev mounts and Shavik Kesev is only in front of Edim, and we need Bnei Bris. Okay, there we got it. So I ask, what does Bnei Chayim come? Chayim Yitavod, Bnei Bris, Yitavod come. And the Tzricha said why you need one and the other, and the Gemara explains that one is Shaykh and Mitzvahs, which is I have on them, and the other one has a yachas, which the other them don't have. So it's not really relevant to our discussion. So I guess, not I guess, but that's the logic. The Rambam sees a Gemara like this, he has to give us svara. What would he think that the other ones? The interesting thing that he does this in the Sefer Yad Chazaka, but okay. The Shita Megabet says there in Baba Kama brings from Ram Misarkosta. Don't know where that is. And he adds, because right now we haven't yet understood the logic for the women. So he writes, even though it's not normal for people to go into those places. Now, but it happens in a place where people don't go. For instance, a place that's designated for women. And that's true. We have a men's swimming beach, and we have a women's swimming beach. So on the women's swimming beach, men aren't there. Or more private places for women. So you would therefore it comes to tell you do not accept the witnesses of these women. That's what the Rambam is saying. Now in Pirush HaMishnayos in Baba Kama, he writes on that Mishnah. He says you need mumchim, edim, avksherim, and not avodim or goyim. And now he writes again the same, a little similar to what he writes here. Levi shayel b'datenu. As we would think, you shouldn't. Why? Because most of the happenings happen in areas where it's almost impossible to have Eidos Gemura. Because most people get into fights or animals. It happens in front of the lowlifes. It doesn't happen in the Besmedrash. Happens with Avodim are right side my name, Avodim are Goyim. So it comes to tell you, no. Where do we learn Mechlal Dakai other than the Akum Apostle? Let's find out where we learn it from. So the Gemara in Baba Kama Daf Peches, where I learned that on Tzad says Ochiv, and then Mektakal V'Choymer. That since a woman is not Roy level, is Roy level called. Postulatus and ever that's not Roy level, certainly postulatus. So Gemara learns out the end result is we learn out from Gazlin and Isha Cotton, and we make a Yalfusa that they can be Eidos. Just to note, the Rambam in Hilchos Eidos doesn't bring that Gemara. And it's noted by the Nizkei, the version on the Rambam, and the Rambam brings the pasuk. Was he's and like Ash's on last is Ochiv. Has to be Ochiv Kemoihu. You gotta Eidos requires that they be the same level playing field. Okay, I want to go through the various opinions so we get them clear, and then we will analyze some of the questions that are here and then try to understand it out. So there's an Amukiyes that says that the Gemara never meant anything with when it said Lemiute Yavadim and Rechayin, and doesn't take it seriously. So I just mentioned, Agav. Like, he gives an explanation, which I don't want to get into right. The Rambam, we have a reason. We think that they be believed. The Shita, in the name of the Ram Misarkasto, adds svara for women too. The that Pirush HaMishnayos also gives a reason similar but a little different. And the Rosh, interesting lashon, he would say that by Nezokin you got to believe them because so that we should get the payment. I mean, that's very important. The guy got damaged, he should get paid. So we got to try to allow more Eidus. Okay. So obviously the main question is, what in the world is that Havamina to go against the Pasuk? Pasuk says they can't be Edus. They can't be Edus. So I saw this is a Sefer Shir of David Baba Kama. It's a very logical thing. And it's only that I've done it. Stop with Rabban. First of all, it doesn't sound like that. There seems to be Mimayit. And definitely even the Rambam doesn't sound like that. It's hard to say that that's what the Gemara is coming along to say. The Rabbanans. We have a Havamin and the Rabbanan. Could be. Could be. Listen, I'm not saying it's not, but it doesn't sound in the expressions of the Rambam and of the version. And that is the Rabbanan. Then we have what everybody asks, that the Rambam brings a different limud for ever than the Gemara. And there are those who answer that. I'm not going to get into the details. They answer that you need the kavachem and you need this. It works. Oh, there's another problem. Rambam says that he's not ochiv. He's not ochiv because he's not mitzvahs. Right? And what was the lashon of the Rambam there? That he's not ochiv because he's not ben bris. Not considered part of the bond that we have. Oh, Hilchos shluchim v'shutfim. The Rambam says that an Eved can be a shliach. Why? Because he's mechalei mitzvahs. And where did we learn how an Eved shouldn't be a guy? He's not a shliach because he's not ben bris. So here we call an Eved ben bris. So the Mepharshim asks, the Rambam says himself. There's a contradiction. Now, when it comes to, we noticed it when we read it. When it comes to avodim, he only wants to give them the right for testimony in areas of when animals hit other animals or an animal hits a person, all in within the areas where only avodim hang out. It comes to Nashmi Tanim. He gives them a carte blanche. They believe, and people damage each other, or other nizakin. Why? Then there's an interesting. Now, Rambam in Yad Chazak, his care and his wording. When it comes to avodim, he writes, we would think sheimin lohem, and when it comes to ketanim and nashim, he writes simchin aleh. Why the change? What's going on? Okay, so perhaps I just want to, again, focusing on the words of the Rambam. In Hilchos Shluchim, the Rambam establishes that an Eved is a ben bris. Finished. Can't do anything about it. But when it comes to Edus, obviously, there is a new concept, the Rambam says, that it's not just enough a ben bris to be part of the union, so to speak. But you got to be a ben bris kemayu, achiv kemayu. It's a new level of ben bris. Obviously, there are levels. There's the regular ben bris, then there's the ben bris kemayu. Now, logically, we could try to understand it. What's the logic between that? By edus you need such a ben bris, by shlichus. So you can go back and forth. I don't know to cut back on the time. What's obvious what he's saying here, that when it comes to a shliach, the mashaleach is making him a shliach. So if he's okay with it, then he's my ben bris. It has to be like me. He has to be similar to me. It has to be my league. I can't take a guy that has no shaykhs to me, has no connection to me. But there's enough of a connection there, and I'm creating that connection. To go testify in another Jew, you got to be on his level to testify. You can't testify. Take a lower person testify. You're not in my league. Okay. The Yeshua explains again that there's an union of a kavod chaymer, there's an union of the pasuk, and the Masham wants to say that the Rambam holds that an Eved is taken not ochiv completely. but he's totally not. He's not completely not. And therefore, when we have the Gavachaimer to passel him, so therefore we take him out of being Ochel. That's the Mashab. But basically, that they make some kind of a connection between each other. So, and the David says a similar thing, that even though Be'etzim we've considered Achiv, but because of the Gavachaimer takes out a Goy, so we can use this Gavachaimer also saying that he's not Achiv. So okay, so perhaps we can say that this Gavachaimer, what's the Gavachaimer saying? He's Achiv, but he's not Achiv. He's Achiv, but he's not Kamoyu. Not Achiv Kamoyu. As we said before. That really an evidence of Embris. There's a chumrah in Eidus that we need a Embris Kamayu. In other words, it's not an afkor in the etzem even. It's an afkor in the connection to the one you are testifying against. So now we can understand a havamin. Again, it's only a havamin, but if we can understand it. That in a place where the only person or people that are going to be available to testify are a Ben Bris, but he's lacking in the Kamayu, they don't need a Kamayu. Because that's the most Kamayu you're going to get. And as you got it, and the Torah did say there's a din of Nizakin. So, in other words, when it comes to Nizakin, you don't need that level of membris. It's that level, as long as he's membris. Remember, he is a membris. He's just not the Kamayu membris. There is no Kamayu here. And as the Rosh says, we need to pay. Could be that's what the Ram Misakrasto is saying in the Ram Lagabe Noshim also. The only thing is that the Noshim, the miut is not because of membris, so it's a little hard to say. And what's the connection? I want to maybe suggest. And the truth is interesting because in Pirush Mashai doesn't mention Noshim. Here he threw them in. Now, as I noted, by Noshim, he doesn't use the word Shem Lahem. Shem Lahem means we listen to them. Shem Lahem is we read them. Could be that by Noshim, the Rambam just adds it as an idea that if there would be a Havamina to listen to them, that the Torah would be matter men, avodim, as Eidim. That same svara maybe the Chachamim would have added by Noshim. That's why he says Elisha same Chachamim. And that's why he gives them more room for Naimanus, because the Rabbanan would have said that. And he comes out to say, no, we don't. There's no such a thing. That's this whole Rambam to tell you there is no Eidus is Eidus and it requires complete Eidus. There's no compromise on the level of Eidus that we need. Okay, seid gesund, stark.